I know you are going to be inspired by something that you hear today in this episode. And I want to invite you right now to decide that you're going to do more than just listen to this. You are going to take some action once you're done to move your life forward. Because after all, we can listen to lots of great things, but if we don't take time to make the changes, then what good does it to us? So know that at the end of this, I'm going to be asking you, what's some little micro commitment you can make to move your life forward, to live more like you want to live, and to be the person that Christ needs you to be? Because after all, here at Christ-Centered Coaches, that's what we are here to do, is to help you move from where you are to where Christ needs you to be. Coaches, I want to tell you guys something. This is kind of a behind the scenes tip, okay, for all you coaches who are trying to grow your business. One of the things that you need the most is community, because as you know, other people do not have your dream on their heart. And as much as your husband loves you, or as much as your mom supports you, they sometimes just don't get what it is to be an entrepreneur. Now, that is where community comes in, because you being part of like-minded people who understand and think like you can make all the difference between your success or your failure. And that's why here at Christ-Centered Coaches, we have a coaching community that meets twice a week live, because it's so important to have that community. And I am part of a high-level mastermind that I pay quite a bit of money for, but it is so worth it, because as a mastermind group, you get to meet other incredible coaches. And today, we are going to get to hear from one of my colleagues, Coach Trina. Now, as you know, I'm here in Arizona and she is in Oklahoma. And had it not been for both of us participating in this high-level mastermind group, we would have never met. But today, you are going to get to learn so much. Please get out pen and pencil today, okay? She's got lots of really great tips for you. And so I am going to turn it over and let Coach Trina introduce herself. Welcome from Oklahoma.
Tami, thank you. It's nice to be here today. I am Trina Atkinson, and my business is Think Then with Trina. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm from Texas originally. I've got a husband I've been married to for 41 years. I've got 2 children and 4 grandgirls, so they keep me busy for sure.
That is so fun. I do have to say, as a marriage and family therapist for 20 years, congratulations on being married for 41 years. That is so fantastic.
And they've been good years too.
Yeah, 41 years of growing together through it all, right?
Yeah.
And then did you say you've got 4 little granddaughters?
I do.
How fun. How old are they?
13, 11, I think 9, and then they adopted a little one, and she's 4 years old. So yeah, and they live right here in Tulsa, so I get to see them and spend a lot of time with them. It's great.
Family is the true gem of life, right?
For sure.
Yeah. I've been seeing all these cute things on my feed of like grandma summer camps, right? And just things like that. And I thought, oh, that is so, so fun. It's a great time to be able to just spend time with family. I have 2 girls as well, and they are both in their young 20s, right? So in college, just starting their profession. So nobody that's gotten married yet, though.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on one. I have a daughter that hasn't gotten married yet either, but my son's been married, I don't know, for about 10 years, and so it's a good. They both live here in the same city. I'm very blessed that way. We spend a lot of time together, a lot of family game nights.
Oh, that's so fun. Okay, let's just hear. This will be a fun behind the scenes. Like, what are some of the games that you guys like to play?
It's a domino game called Mexican Train. We play that a lot, and we play spades and sometimes little kid games.
Now, do the kids get involved in that too?
They do, and
Yeah.
they're so good now that they beat me. I'm pretty competitive. I don't like that too much. No, it's fun. It's fun.
We have a game. Have you heard of the game of Muggins
No.
before? It is a really, really old card game. In fact, my daughter loves antiques, and she was at an antique shop up north, and she found one that said Muggins on the outside that was just so old, and she was so excited to find that because we usually just play it with Uno cards or something like that. But grandma and grandpa have taught us all to love that game. And, games do, they just bring families closer together, and it's just a really fun thing. So
Yeah, and
good
I
for
love
you.
that whenever they're passed down from generation to generation. I love that. Me and my grandmother used to play solitaire at the beach all the time. And so now my granddaughters and I play another game called Nerds, which is kind of like solitaire, just a
Mm,
fast game. But I
yeah.
love that. That's good.
Well, Coach Trina, we want to learn from you today. So tell us all about your business. Well, and let's start because I always forget this. How can people get in touch with you? We're going to start with this
Okay.
and hopefully end with this.
Okay. Well, I have a website, thinkthenwithtrina.com. And my email is trina@thinkthenwithtrina.com.
Now, how do you spell Trina? Just
It's
so we,
Trina.
okay.
Trina, yeah. And then I have a Facebook group, thinkthenwithtrina.com. I'm on TikTok. And so that's how you can get me, thinkthenwithtrina.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So tell us about Think Then with Trina.
Okay. So do you want the very beginning, like how I got here, why I even started to lose weight? Because I have lost 150 pounds. Do you want to see a picture?
Wow. Oh my
Big
goodness.
difference. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we want to hear it all.
Okay. All right. Because the beginning of the story, I mean, I was overweight for many, many years, and I had tried every single diet that there was. And that's Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig, Mediterranean, keto, South Beach, Atkinson, everything. Did I lose weight on some of it? Yes. But did the weight stay off? Never. So I was kind of like at my very highest weight. And at this point, I had given up, not even trying. But it was August 24th, 2017, and it was a hurricane going on in the Gulf, and all of our family lives in the Houston area. It was Hurricane Harvey. And I was feeling like I couldn't breathe real well. And I told my husband, he said, well, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. I think it's anxiety or something. But the next day, I said, we were supposed to go out of town. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to urgent care first because I don't feel well. So I'm going to go and just get an antibiotic or something. I don't want to be out of town sick. So I went to the urgent care and I was sitting there and all of a sudden I just like couldn't hardly move. And I was saying, help me in the room. And a nurse walked by and said, excuse me, are you saying help me? And I said, yeah, because I couldn't get up. I couldn't get off the chair. That's how weak I was. And they said, well, what's wrong? And at about that time, I just about passed out. So they had to call an ambulance to take me to the hospital from the urgent care. Long story short, I was bleeding internally. I had a gastric varices that had ruptured. And the diagnosis of all that was non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver, which is a really significant bad disease. So I asked my cousin is a doctor, and I said, okay, Lowell, how bad is this? He said, well, what I know about liver disease is that it never gets better on its own, and it only gets worse until. And I said, until what? He said, until. And in other words, until the end. And I said, oh my gosh. So, when the doctor says you're going to die, you do whatever you can to make that stop. And it was imminent. It was coming. And that was 2017.
Trina, oh my goodness. Praise God that you were there in that urgent care.
Yeah.
What a blessing. Like he needed you here sharing this message versus being on the other side of the wall, right? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Tammy, I find more and more that is really, really true. I mean, because what I do is important, and it helps people really, they say, break the chain of the bondage of, the overeating and the being overweight for years and years and years. So absolutely. And now they went down to stop the internal bleeding, and by the time they had gone in there, it had stopped by itself, which that was a God thing too, that I was spared that, because I could have bled to death, honestly. I had received 2 blood transfusions because that's what was going on. My blood was really low, and I'm gonna tell you a story, an earthly story with a godly meaning, and I love those. I love when those happen.
Oh,
So
me
I was
too.
so sick in the hospital and so weak that the doctor came in after me being there for a week, and he said, "Okay, I think we're going to let you go." And I said, "Well, okay, that's interesting because I can't walk across the room. I mean, I could walk to the little bathroom that's right there and back." He said, "Oh, well, maybe you need another pint of blood." I said, "Okay, let's do that." So he did. And what is so interesting is hour by hour, I felt my strength coming back. I could move, I could think. I couldn't roll over in bed. I could roll over in bed, and I got to where I could walk to the bathroom. That physical blood was life saving for me. It was life giving. And it wasn't immediate, but I could just feel it, feel the difference. And in that moment, God reminded me of how his blood is what gives us life eternally. And that was so beautiful to me and so eye-opening that God taught me that right there. I mean, that physical blood, I had no idea how we can't live without it. We can't function without all that we need. And we will die. And the same thing spiritually. Without his blood, we will die. That's what I believe anyway.
Mm.
So,
Amen. Amen, sister. Yes. So, so thankful for that. So thankful
so
for Jesus.
absolutely. So that's how I got to the point where I went to a liver specialist, and he said, "There's only one thing you can do." And I was saying, "Okay, tell me, because I will take any pill. I will do anything you tell me. Whatever you tell me to do, I will do, because I'm not ready to, go. I'd like to still be here." He said, "Okay, the one thing you can do to help yourself is to lose weight."
You're like, not this shot, not this pill. You want
Yeah,
me to what?
yeah,
Oh my.
exactly. Exactly. I was like,
And you're
okay,
like,
okay.
like I haven't tried that 10 million times.
Exactly. I mean, what could be the worst thing that they would want me to do? That would be it. Because I had tried 10 million times. And I said, okay, well, that's going to be a problem because, and here's why. And I knew this about myself. I have this little poem that when I'm speaking, I say this because it's the truth. I eat when I'm hungry. I eat when I'm sad. I eat when I'm lonely. I eat when I'm mad. I eat when I'm stressed. I eat when I'm having fun. I eat for every reason under the sun. And doctors can't fix that. You know what I mean?
Did you make that poem up?
Yes, I did.
That's a
I
winner.
sure
That's a
did.
winner.
Yeah. Because that's the kind of person I was an emotional eater.
Well, and you're not alone. Think of our society, right? We have some things going on in our family, and we have a sweet member of our family that has cancer. And it's just like you really realize, wait, we're gonna go here and eat. We're getting together to eat. We're
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. We eat for every celebration.
Yeah.
We eat when we're, especially me and the Cheetos and stress. I like to eat Cheetos and Fritos when I'm stressed. It's the crunch. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I was living. That's how I coped with life for sure. But so here's what I learned from that. I had to get a hold of it. Okay, what am I going to do? Because I do want to lose weight. And I knew for all these emotional reasons is why I ate. So the first thing I did, of course, was I just thought about it from a spiritual standpoint. And here's what I came to realize. Jesus himself felt emotion. He cried, when Lazarus was raised from the dead. He cried. I don't like to feel emotion. They are icky feeling. And so that's why I would eat them. But I had to learn that if my Savior can, cry and feel emotion, it's quite okay for me too. So that is the first thing that set me on the path to learning how to feel my emotions instead of eat them. That was the first thing that I was trying to be better than Jesus, you know. I was trying not to feel emotions. And that's what God gave us to make it through life. That's how we're supposed to get through the emotions, is to feel them and to that's why we have them. So that was kind of eye opening for me.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the pleasure, the pain, the stress, the happiness. That's what makes us human is
Yeah.
those emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also I learned that there are other things we can do besides eating, and that's, you know, we can pray, we can journal, we can listen to music, we can call a friend, and I use all those things too. But the best thing for us is just to sit and feel it. And the way I do that, because I was not raised to feel emotion. I have a story about my granddaughter. Her name is Charlie. And one night we were over there with my son, and Charlie was crying, and Wes, my son, said, "What's the matter, Charlie? Are you mad?" She goes, "No." And he said, "Are you hurt?" She said, "No." And he said, "Are you sad?" And she said, "Yes." He said, "Well, what are you sad about?" And she said, "Well, the big girls are playing a game and they won't let me play." And he said, "Okay, I understand how that can make you sad. But when they're through playing their game, they'll play with you." And I thought, oh my gosh, he has just saved her years of therapy because number one, he helped her name her emotion, which was sadness. And number two, he told her it was okay to feel it. And number three, you know, he helped her work through it and what comes next. I didn't get that memo growing up. I didn't learn that. You know what I'm saying?
I am so thankful that as a society we do seem to be honoring emotions more and paying
Yeah,
attention to the importance that they are in our life, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But back in the day, my parents didn't teach me that. And so I learned how to not feel them, not have them. And so thank goodness for, I don't know where my son learned that because I didn't teach it to him, but he has taught that to his kids. So I find myself now, when there is an emotion that I don't want to feel, I just, instead of going to eat it, I say, okay, I just say, I feel sad. I feel sad. And all I have to do is repeat it and it will pass. But I've gone through it. I've allowed it to come. I identified what the emotion was. I didn't, judge it, but I didn't have to go eat over it either. So that's been very helpful to me. That's, you know, a long journey summed up in a little spot. So
Just allowing that emotion. As a therapist, I often kind of like talk to clients about the waves of emotion, right? And
yeah,
just allowing that wave to come and just feeling it as it kind of washes over you, letting it be there. And I love what you said about repeating it. Like, I feel sad. This is sadness. And I'm going to be with sadness for a minute. And then I like to tell my clients just to let it go through their bodies and then just kind of picture it just leaving out your toes, right? Just let it
yeah,
wash all the way through you, let it stay as long as it needs to, and then
yeah,
just let it go. Yeah.
yeah. That's so important to learn that. I mean, that is so helpful. And it's not that scary of a thing just to sit there with it for a minute. And that's kind of, I mean, I'm 60 something years old and I'm just now learning how to do that. But it makes a difference. I don't have to go eat it anymore.
I think naturally, just kind of that natural man part of us likes to push emotions aside. So add that with a society that didn't really acknowledge emotions. And I think that's why you and I got what we got. But man, I'm just glad that there's people like you who are out there teaching us that we don't need to eat our emotions.
Right. I have a saying, and this saying has really served me so well, and it is this. It's a saying and a question, and I say this nowadays. Food won't fix it, Trina. What do you need? Because for everything I want to eat, and my habit brain brings that to my mind. Oh, you're stressed. Go get the Fritos. And I say, food won't fix it. What do you need? And I think, okay, well, I need to I need to go sit in my garden in the backyard. I need to turn on some music really loud. And I might need to call a friend whenever I'm done with that. That's what I really need. or you're tired and you say, well, and you just go, you eat to stay awake and go, no, you're tired. Go rest. Go take a nap. What do you need? Because I never asked myself that. I would just turn to the food and it would fix whatever I had wrong. But now I do. I mean, I say this every day. I write this in my journal every day. Food won't fix it. What do you need? I mean, yeah, if Fritos, if you could write on their stress reliever, pick up a bag of Fritos, it'd be a stress reliever written on the front, or pick up a carton of ice cream and that would be sadness release. That's how we look to food.
It's so true. But food won't fix this. And then I think that's very important, the way you inserted your name. So
Yeah,
food won't fix, everybody write that down, right? So food won't fix this. Coach Tami, what do you need? And then even if you have to sit with yourself for a second and figure out, what is it that I need? What is it that I'm feeling? Lots of times we have to just take that minute and be still and quiet ourselves down enough that we can be like, okay, take a few deep breaths. What do I need? That's really powerful. I like that.
yeah, and the deep breath is number one because that, you know, just take that breath, that cleansing breath, and then go from there. That's great too. Yeah. So from all of that and all of the diets I had been on and all of the books I had read and all of the programs I had been a part of, I came up with my plan. Think Then with Trina.
Now, did you come up with your plan after you had kind of walked through that? And is this kind of what you did to lose that 150 pounds?
Yeah, not all of it.
Okay.
I had lost like 20 pounds a few years ago and stayed there. And then I had lost, a few more pounds and stayed there. But probably the last 80 pounds, yes, this is what I used to lose the last 80 pounds
No big
for
deal,
sure.
just 80 pounds. That is just so, that just represents so much. And you're not just someone who is, who's always been thin, that, has not faced this battle. You are someone that we can look to who's been there, and you have been on that battlefield, and you know how to pull us through it because you've lived it. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to give a few things that helps before I get to the actual plan. And one of the things I learned is, being a heavy person, like all my life, sort of, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy. You create what you believe. If you think you're the big girl, you are the big girl. There is no way that you can be thin if you think that you're not or can't be. That is number one that I teach my clients is that you have to think of yourself as a thin person, as hard as that is. And I'm going to give you some verses that help me with that. Proverbs 23:7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And Isaiah 43:18 says, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. And I love that. We are not stuck in what we were. We can change, we can grow, but we have to believe that being thin is a possibility because that gives our brain something to think towards and to work towards. And if we don't have a plan, I don't think we can get there. I mean, it's like my son and his daughter-in-law went to see several national parks this year. Well, they didn't just back out of their driveway and say, "Okay, let's go. Hopefully, we'll pass a few." Like some people do on weight loss journeys. Well, let's just start and we'll see what happens. No, they had a plan. We're going to go here, stay here, do this. Now they had a detour. They had a flat tire. So they had to go to the Walmart and get their tire fixed and, get back on the road. And we too, as we're losing weight, sometimes have detours. Life happens. Bad things happen in life and we get kind of off plan, but we get right back on if you have the plan. So I think it's very important to know what is your goal so that your brain can be working towards getting to that goal. So I find that very important.
Yeah, so have your plan, and big part number one on that plan is being able to see yourself as thin and
Yeah.
believing that you can be thin.
Yes.
Can I just share one of the things that I did years and years and years ago? I It might have been Jenny Craig. I don't remember because, like you, I don't even remember which one it was. But they had these CDs that tells you how old, how long ago it was, that you played, and you listened to these CDs, and it was until you could get used to doing it by yourself. But you listen to these CDs and it was like, you're now doing the laundry. See yourself, you're at your ideal weight. You're bending over, getting the laundry out of the dryer, with no problem. And I feel like that was such a powerful thing
Yes.
to be able to go through these daily tasks, visualizing myself, at my ideal weight. And I have always remembered that because I thought it was so, so powerful.
Absolutely. And honestly, I have a planner that my clients write in every day. And that's one of the things we do is we see our future self and we talk about just what you said. Exactly what is she wearing? Exactly what is she doing? Where is she going? And I have them describe it to me in detail, like I'm wearing a blue dress, I'm at a daughter's wedding, I'm walking down the aisle, my hair's up, I'm thin. Yeah, the more we can see that, it is very powerful. Our brain, I learned this also. God has given us such a powerful brain that we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of it. But I do a little bit in this program because it's so powerful. It makes losing weight a lot easier when your brain is on board and you're not fighting against yourself. Like, oh, I have to eat this or I have to eat that, and it's just totally different when your brain is working with you and for you.
Love that.
Okay. All right. So here's my plan. I'm just going to give the whole plan to y'all right here, and it's so simple, but it's not always easy to do. All right. And first of all, restriction. I do not restrict. I will not restrict what I eat anymore. I have been on so many restrictive diets. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So I knew that whatever I came up with had to be non-restrictive. So I eat whatever I want to. Well, my clients do. I don't eat sugar because I'm a diabetic, but my clients eat sugar. They eat cake. They eat ice cream. They eat whatever. And we can on this planet. So it's really not a plan about the most healthy thing right now, although we get there eventually, but it's for people who are like me, who eat emotionally and are desperate to lose a little weight without restricting and changing their whole life. So step one, and it sounds simple, but is we eat when we're hungry. But think about it. When is the last time you were truly hungry where your stomach growled? For some people, it's been a long time. It's been years. Because what happens is we eat, we're full, we let the tank get down a little bit, and then we eat again. We don't ever let it get all the way to the bottom. So we never get hungry. We don't like hunger. Hunger, I tell my clients, is not an emergency. You're not going to die. You know what I mean?
Another good one-liner. Hunger is not an emergency.
Yeah. All right. So we learn how to do that. And what that means, it's not starving. It's just, I'm hungry. We don't wait till we're passing out. My daughter sometimes will wait until her arms are like, won't move. And I'm going, no, we don't do that. We don't wait that long. And then number two is we stop at satisfied. Not full, certainly not Thanksgiving Day full, but satisfied. We're not hungry at all, but we're not full at all. We're satisfied. For me, I call that about 80%. And this one's a little bit harder to learn. It took me about 9 months to master this one. But now I can't stand being full. I've done this for 3 years now. I don't like the feeling. And my clients who have learned this, they don't like the feeling either. They can't stand to be full. And before, I was full constantly, all the time. And I don't even know why. It doesn't feel good, You just feel, ugh. So that's number two. Number three is we drink 64 ounces of water. Everybody knows hydration is important and what all that can do for us. And number four is we get 6 to 8 hours of sleep because that's important for us. That's when our body resets and all that kind of stuff. And then number five is the most important one. And it is we do the thought work. We think thin. And that encompasses so many things. Just learning how to, think about yourself being thin, learning how to get rid of thoughts about a lot of my clients at first hate to waste food because we were taught that the starving children in China need our food. However, I've never been able to box it up and mail it to China for them. I don't know how me overeating is a good thing for those poor starving people. Sure, I can send them money, but they can't have my food. And I am not the trash can, another one-liner. So we have to learn how to
I
throw
am
trash
not the
away.
trash can. That
Yeah,
is so good. That's another great one.
yeah, yeah. So that's it, basically, in a nutshell. Used to, like I have this story about my daughter-in-law. She's a skinny little thing. She's had 3 children and she's like a size 1. And we were out to eat one day and she ordered a sandwich and she ate half of the sandwich. And I said, Beth, are you going, is it good? Oh, yeah, it's good. And I said, are you going to eat any more? No. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I mean, she's got a sandwich, a whole half a sandwich that looks really good, and then another part. She's not going to eat it. Are you going to take it? Do you want to take it home? No. It had avocado on it, which it doesn't stay well for very long. I said, okay. Then a few minutes later, I said, well, then can I eat it? Because I was not going to waste that sandwich. And I was already full from my meal, but back in the day, that's how I would eat. That can't be wasted. Somebody's got to eat that sandwich. So I thought, yeah, well, you are. I mean, come on, you're the trash can. Go ahead and eat it. But I don't think like that anymore. And those are some of the things that we have to learn how to think differently about. Is just how we eat, how we think about ourselves. It's like the thermostat. You set your house on 74 degrees and it's cold outside. You leave the door open and what happens is it gets cold in the house, okay? And so what happens is the heat kicks on and it moves it back up to 74. It's the same way with our thoughts about losing weight. If you think you're the big girl, you're going to be the big girl. Now, the thermostat might change as you go on a diet, but until you start to really see yourself, you can lose weight. That's like the thermostat getting lower. You can lose weight, but it won't stay until you change your self-image and start to believe yourself as that of a thin person. And that means we start seeing ourselves that way. We eat from that perspective. And I'm like, okay, if you were future you, how would you approach this party? How would you eat at this party? Which is used to, I'd eat everything there 3 times. And now it's like, no, future me doesn't do that. And we have to think now and act now like we're that person. That's why it's so important to see the future you so that you can make decisions now based on her. So that's just kind of some of the things we do. But those are the 5 steps. They're very simple. They're very easy, but there's a lot to it. But it's better
Right.
than being on a diet and restricting to, 3 ounces of tuna, 1 chip, a lot of celery. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Yeah, and yet you've lost that 150 pounds, right? So you've really shown how much, and I couldn't agree more that the way we see ourselves is who we are, right?
Yep. Yep.
Another fun way, an important part of that is I don't know if you caught this episode with Mel Robbins. She recently had someone on who was all about looking at your closet in the morning and thinking, how do I want to feel today? Not
Yeah.
like, what am I going to be most comfortable in? What's going to not make me look fat, right? She said that she looks at her closet and asks the question, how do I want to feel today, right? And I think that's part of loving that future thin you and seeing yourself in that person each day, right? So, yeah.
Haven't heard that episode. I'll need to go find that because that is so funny because this week in my classes, that's exactly what I talked about was choosing the clothing that makes you feel how you want to be. Not necessarily who you are, but who do you want to be? And that's exactly what we talked about. Is going into your closet and saying what makes me feel the best, what makes me feel confident, what makes me feel thin. That's who I want to be today, and that's how I'm going to dress today. It all is encompassing. It's not just about weight related. I find that there's a lot of confidence that comes into it. It's interesting. I coach a lot of older women, and I am blown away at how unconfident and how irrelevant they feel in today's world and how they feel like they can't change. Of course you can change. You know, we're always rewriting our chapters. And they've lost weight and they never thought they could. I love it so much. I love it. I love it when people are transformed. And
That is so powerful.
speaking of, I have this one lady who, like I said, they eat sugar. You know, they eat sugar if they want sugar. But we also learn how to eat the very best bites. So what she does is she made a cake one night and she cut a little piece out of the center. And the next day her granddaughter said, Mama, somebody cut a hole in the middle of the cake. And she said, I know it was me. But that's all she wanted. But she wanted the very best bite. She didn't want to eat the dry, gross crust on the side. She wanted the very middle. That was the best bite. And we learned how to do that too. Our tummies can only hold so much food. So we want to put the very best that we can in there. And so that's how we eat. It's just thinking differently.
And you've got so many tricks. I mean, you've shared so many great strategies with us today. It's just, I can't even imagine getting to be in your group and that support, and then the support of, like you said, you have, all these women that are doing this together. That is just so powerful. And then you just kind of threw in there that you have a journal, right?
Yes,
It's part of your
I
program
do.
too.
I
Wow.
do. It's a planner for my clients. I'll show you my picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's an everyday thing. And one of the things, my favorite part of this journal is I am statements. And these are things that we write down that aren't yet true, but we want them to be.
Love it.
Yeah, like I am a naturally thin eater. And it can be more than just weight loss. Like I do not like to be full. And I love to drink my water. I love to move my body. And it's what's really cool is when the I am statements that were so far fetched in the beginning become reality. And my clients say, I really am that person now. I really am that person. That is so fulfilling.
As Christians, our bodies are what houses our spirit, and that is just such an important part of who we are. Like it's got to be in order, because if we don't feel good about the vehicle, our body, it affects the spirit. It affects everything we do. So when you give
Yeah,
women this chance to make such a big difference in their life, like that's so neat that you're working with older women, because I bet you see them just take on this whole new life of who they are, new creatures, because they finally are able to be comfortable in their body.
absolutely. And a lot of them, it's of course, you know how coaching goes. It's more than what you start with. And some of this coaching goes into self-identity. Like I have several widows and they're just like, "Oh, I'm not anything important without my husband." Well, of course you are, or you wouldn't be here. If God didn't have a plan for you, you wouldn't be here anymore. So, it goes into all that too. But yes, as far as our body being the temple of God and the Spirit of God dwelleth in it, I teach my clients this. What if you were given one new car when you were 16 years old, and that new car, it was whatever you wanted, and the car had to last your whole life? How would you take care of that car? Girl,
Ooh,
you'd be cleaning those tires, you'd be doing that leather interior so it doesn't crack. We're given one body, but we don't take care of it.
that is another great one. Man, you have so many good ones, Coach Trina. I'm coming. I'm signing up. I love this.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, okay. Anything else that you'd like to share with us as we're wrapping up here?
No, I think I've told you everything I'd like. Just the first thing is you must believe it's possible. And one of the first things I ask my clients are, what percentage sure are you that you're going to lose this weight that you want to lose and get to your goal? And it's usually about 6%, 6 to 10.
Seriously.
Nobody hardly ever
Hmm.
says over 10% sure. And I get that. I've been there. But that just goes to show me how much of the thinking they need to change. And it's really, 90% of your mind and 10% of what you eat. And the thing we have to focus on is not what we eat, it's how we eat. We eat deliberately, we eat intentionally. It's how we eat, not what we eat.
And how we see ourselves, just like you told us. how we see ourselves. Now, I know you mentioned that you've got a freebie as well that you share with everybody, right?
Yeah, if they go to thinkthinwithtrina.com/freebie, they will get my 5 free steps that I mentioned with a little more detail, and that'll
Okay.
come to them. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And if they want to get in touch with you, that, give us your best.
Thinkthinwithtrina.com or
Okay.
Trina@thinkthinwithtrina.com for my email. And my Facebook group, which is I give a lot of value in my Facebook group, Think Thin with Trina, and any woman can join. But I leave a video every Monday with some tips and tricks and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd love to have some people.
Okay, well, I'm going to go jump in that Facebook
Oh,
group.
great.
I just love your philosophies, and thank you. You really have given us so much value here today. And it's so important because we want to be able to be the people that God needs us to be. And we've got to have a car that's been taken care of since we were 16. Or just start taking good care of it now,
That's
right?
right. That's right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Tami, for having me. It was an honor to be on your podcast today. I appreciate it.
Well, we have loved having you. And at the end of each of our episodes, we love to say, go out and be a blessing.
Thank you very much.
I know you have felt something today while you've been here, and I would like to invite you to act on what you felt, to not let this just be one more inspirational moment, but to now take decisive action. To choose some little micro commitment that you can take that's going to move your life towards the person that you want to be, a closer relationship with Christ, and the person that He needs you to be for Him. So before you are done, just take a deep breath and think, what's one little thing that I want to commit to? And at Christ-Centered Coaches, if you want coaches to hold you accountable, that's what we're here to do in every way, from just listening and being a part of our community to going ahead and hiring a coach and even becoming a life coach yourself. We're here to support you every step of your journey as you move from where you are to where Christ needs you to be.